why we need to focus on the girls' education is because the girls do not have equal access. There are issues of access, and largely when you talk about issues of access, there are issues of infrastructure, that there isn't enough infrastructure for girls' schools. Of course, there are cultural factors, and then there are socio-economic factors also. And generally, the status of women in society, where women are seen to be looking, I mean, they are their cultural role, limits them to household activities and economic activities. Also, there's a lot of pressure on them. So, early marriage, for instance, that's a limiting factor for girls. But I think so. We have to work on multiple fronts. We also have to ensure that the status of women, and I'm working on that as well as a parliamentarian. It's very close to my agenda in the parliament that we work to have improve the status of women generally. Because if you do that, then girls' education would automatically improve. And on the other hand, then you work with policy, also policy instruments on how to ensure that the girls get equal access as boys do to education.
Okay. There is a segment of the society or the media, let's say we can very much focus the Western media, saying that religion is the main factor in Pakistan which hinders that girls' education. To what extent you?
I think that is not. It's shallow-mindedness. I think I reject this totally. It is true that certain elements in Pakistan who are enemies of children, women, men, and people of Pakistan generally, who are training suicide bombers in the name of Islam, who are killing innocent civilians in the name of Islam, are using Islam as a front so that it gives them a moral cover for their evil designs and evil activities. These are the people that we as public representatives have to uncover. The people of Pakistan have rejected terrorism, and these people use terrorist means to kill innocent civilians, and they have been attacking girls' schools generally. Islam as a religion, even 1400 years ago, the religion, actually one of the pillars, one of the issues that on which this religion sort of took off was the issue of saving girls' lives. Because in the tribal, pre-Islamic tribal environment in the Arabian region, the girls used to be at birth, they used to be burnt, they used to be buried alive. And the Holy Prophet actually took this as a political issue, and then they actually campaigned against this. They worked against this, and they rejected this practice. Even as far back as that, Islam actually took on a campaign for girls' right to live, and not just that, but right to property. The women in property, women in Islam have right to property. Then right to the women in that tribal society, when Islam was growing, they were actually fighting on the battleground along with their menfolk. So Islam was a modern religion. When it started out, it talked about modernity, and that is why it took hold across in a very, very short period of time. It is probably the last monotheistic religion, and it spread over the entire Arabian belt, the Middle East, African region, Asian region in a very, very short span. I do not believe this hypothesis that Islam spread through the sword. It didn't. Islam spread through modernity. It brought in modernity and also literacy, because the first letter, the first in the Quran is read. When Archangel Jibreel alayhi salam would bring the message of God to the Prophet, he began with the word read, and the Quran, the Holy Quran, as our symbol of unity and as a main element of Islam, is about literacy. You have to know how to read if you read the Quran. So the whole religion is around literacy and modernity and girls' education. This religion cannot, what you're saying is completely the antithesis of Islam. And those people who are evil, I think those people who are killers of humanity, are the ones that always would look for a moral cover. And they think that they would find populace, it's a strategy by them, they think that by using Islam as a cover, they can get their appeal for their evil designs. But the people of this region know better, because they have suffered, through tremendous, this region has been sort of a gateway to civilization. Look at the Indus Valley, and then after that, there has been great civilizations in this region. So the people have historical knowledge, and they will reject such elements. And I think in fact the tool to counter militancy and extremism in Pakistan is education itself. And this is something that I've been arguing for even in NCHD when the subject was with the federal government. We were fighting for how literacy could be used as an instrument to counter extremism. And we still believe in that, because literacy is something that opens up your mind, connects you to the larger, the access to services and so on. And also it is your guarantee to ensuring that your next generations, a literate mother will ensure that her children get. So it actually improves your other indicators also. So I think that this particular idea is something that must be rejected totally.
Why we have very low literacy rate and then excess and there are other problems? Do you think there's a management issue in education that they cannot attract the girls of our schools? Or what is the reason? It's like some that in early age we have good admissions, enrollment, and then it drops.
Actually, because Pakistan has had a highly unstable political environment. For the last 30 years, this country has been at direct or indirect war. We are a part of a region that has been a battleground, not just in the past 30 years, but historically, I would say, even before partition, this area was like a frontier for, the British Empire. So this region has seen a lot of instability. It hasn't seen consistent people's rule. And I would hear after the partition of India and the making or creation of Pakistan, the movement for democracy, the torchbearer for movement of democracy was Shaheed Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. And he was the one who brought consciousness to the people of Pakistan that if we have to move forward, then we have to believe or work for democratic rule and the rule of law. And as a result, we had the first democratic constitution. We had earlier constitutions, but one constitution was made by a dictator and one by bureaucrats, so they could not hold on. But the 1973 constitution is something that is sustainable, that the people at large supported it. It was unanimous. And largely the lack of education or health or basic indicators that we're far behind in as compared with the rest of the world is because we haven't had consistent democratic rule. If you have consistent democratic rule, you have consistent policy, and if you have consistent policy, then you improve your management issues, and you ensure that there is larger access, and also you spend more on education. I think that the onset of democracy is a very positive sign for Pakistan, and this is going to be the beginning of change. And you may have already noted that there have been some very important steps that the government has taken. One of them is the 25A, where the government has made itself accountable and responsible for education, and they have said that, look, it is our duty to provide free education and compulsory education to children under the age of 16, I think that's what it says, to Pakistan. And now we have to work as parliamentarians, we have to work towards a law so that this becomes this becomes something that the people can seek redressal into. Because if you have the constitution now gives a guideline. Once you have the law, then the people can actually move the law courts and say wherever there isn't that access, wherever there are issues of education, wherever children are not able to enroll, then the parents can go and fight for that right. So this the constitution has actually provided a landmark for education for Pakistan, and now we as parliamentarians along with civil society and media have to build an environment where we create a law that enforces this or gives a roadmap on how we enforce this particular law. But now largely the other issue is of course there are challenges, and the challenge now is after the passage of 18th Amendment, the responsibility for education lies with the provinces. So the provinces have to now take important steps so that they are ensuring that there is access to education. I think the days are gone when the government considers its own duty to ensure education. I think this is something that all the different sections of society have to come together. The government, of course, provides the central policy. The government provides the atmosphere and the room and the budget. But everybody, including the media, has to play a very important role, and the civil society and the private sector must come up and invest in education. So this is something that we have to all work towards and raise education to the central national agenda. Even when it's devolved, it has to be on the central agenda, because we have our national commitments, the EFA commitments, we have the Dhaka Declaration, we have the international commitments, and in order to ensure that we are making changes in our systems to ensure that every child gets access to school and that nobody is deprived of education, we have to work at multiple levels.